Okay, so what if I told you that a person could transform just as completely as a caterpillar becomes a butterfly? It's a pretty mind-bending idea, right? Well, that's the core of a fascinating concept from the author Su Feng. We're going to dive into this journey not of just, self-improvement, but of total reinvention, from human to something called a super celestial. So, to even start to wrap our heads around this, we need to ground ourselves in something we already know. So, let's start with a transformation we've all seen. How does a caterpillar actually become a butterfly? We call it metamorphosis, sure, but when you really think about it, it's just pure magic. All right, keep that image of the butterfly in your mind. Now, let's swap out the characters. Let's ask the big question from our source material. How does a human become a super celestial? Because according to the author, the process, it's almost identical. To really unpack this, first, we've got to look closely at that butterfly blueprint. This incredible, real-world biological process is going to be our map for understanding the metaphysical one. Think of it like a three-act play. Act 1, you've got the caterpillar, totally bound to the earth, living a crawling life. Act 2, the pupa. This is the really mysterious part, a state of total dissolution where everything the caterpillar was literally just melts away. And then finally, Act 3, the butterfly, a creature of the sky. See, these aren't just small changes, they're entirely different worlds. The author actually shares this really powerful kind of visceral observation. He once opened a pupa and found, and this is a direct quote, it was all white, gooey liquid inside. Just think about that for a second. There's no tiny little butterfly in there waiting to grow. The caterpillar has to completely cease to exist. It dissolves into this biological soup before it can be remade as something totally new. And the author has this very unique way of describing this total remake. He calls it a fundamental change of a life's antimatter structure. Now, hold on, he's not talking about particle physics here. He's using this phrase to get at something deeper, a change at the very core of a being's existence. The blueprint itself is being erased and completely rewritten. So with that in mind, let's move on. Let's take this powerful analogy and apply it to ourselves. Let's start thinking of humanity as a kind of caterpillar, just full of this incredible hidden potential. And here is where it all just clicks into place. On the left, you have the caterpillar. That's humanity as we generally know it. The butterfly, that's our potential, the super celestial. The caterpillar's world is the ground it crawls on. You could call it a flat, two-dimensional existence. But the butterfly, it gains a whole new dimension, height. It can fly. This is the metaphor for the super celestial entering a four-dimensional reality, experiencing a kind of freedom the caterpillar couldn't even dream of. So what exactly is a super celestial or tianxian? Well, using this analogy, it's a state of being that has totally transcended the normal human dimension. It's not just a better human, it's an entirely different form of life, the same way a butterfly isn't just a caterpillar with wings. Okay, I know what you might be thinking. A total dimensional shift? This is where it starts to feel a little bit like science fiction. I mean, how is that even possible? Well, the author gives us a fascinating mechanism for this, and it all comes down to what he calls life's hidden programs. It's the logical question, right? For both examples, how does that gooey liquid inside the pupa somehow remember how to build a butterfly? And on our side, how could a human possibly reprogram their own nature so completely? The answer, according to Su Feng, is this idea of a program. You can think of it like pre-installed software on a computer. The idea is that every life form, including us, has multiple potential programs already inside, set by super celestials. And these programs dictate the different things we can become. And this is where the whole concept just explodes into this really wild territory. The author says that humans aren't locked into just one path. We have different programs available to us. So if you run the horse program, your essence takes on that form. Run the pig program, same thing. There's even a devil program. But, and this is the whole point, there is also a super celestial program. So the transformation, he argues, isn't about earning something new. It's about choosing which program that's already inside you to run. So that brings us to the most important question of all, right? If becoming a super celestial is just a matter of running the right software, well, how do you double-click the icon? How do you actually activate the program? Yeah, after all the analogies, all the theory, what's the actual command? What's the key that turns the engine on? And the answer, when it comes, is both incredibly deep and honestly shockingly simple. There's no magic spell. There's no complicated ritual. You run the program by living your life according to the consciousness of a super celestial. You become it by being it. And that leaves us with this final, fascinating question to really chew on. If the key is to just adopt this consciousness, what does that actually mean? What might a celestial consciousness look like in your daily life, in your thoughts, in your actions? And that really is the question this whole idea leaves us to explore for ourselves.